So we got another news video to get to, and it starts with a tease from Kota Ibushi, as Kota Ibushi recently spoke to Puresu Online, or Puresu Wrestling Online, and spoke about how he felt like he fit better with AEW than he does in Japan. So I would say by the summertime, or maybe the early fall, expect to see Mr. Kota Ibushi as a part of AEW. WWE is also setting up a new television show, and the new television show for WWE is WWE Recruits, where new potential WWE superstars or WWE talent will have their journey documented as they look to be make an impact and make their way through the WWE system and get not I'm also under the impression that maybe it also documents them getting signed or potentially getting signed by WWE. We also got news on Bayley and Damage Control that we will get to later on. But also an update on Drew McIntyre, as I believe this is from Dave Meltzer, who said that in speaking with some of his friends, McIntyre thought that his contract status would not get out. But he is saying that the story is true, that his contract is expiring soon, but that his contract is not expiring in any way, shape, or form as soon as as soon as reports have speculated. But that the story is true and that the company and him are far apart on numbers. It is that I am more than aware of the fact that wrestling publications and wrestling reporters have a bad tendency of making stories seem closer or making stories seem like a bigger deal to try and get more clicks. And I hope I've never done that, because I've never tried to do that, and I hope I never do that, because that's never something I've wanted to do, because I would rather report facts and report the truth than report something for the sake of, report something for the sake of clicks. Because clicks don't matter if you don't have the trust of your audience. And I would rather have the trust of my audience than 1,000 clicks. That's just it, but that's just my opinion. But either way, McIntyre's contract is expiring probably within the next year. So it would be interesting, because few top AEW stars' contracts are also expiring within the next year. Those being the Elite and Kenny Omega. I mean, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So it would be interesting if WWE loses one of their top stars in favor of getting three of AEW's top stars. But I do think that if anything, Kenny Omega would leave and the Bucks would stay, rather than all three of them would leave. But that's just my opinion. We do move over to Jay White, as Jay White he made his debut return, I should say. He made his return on Dynamite this past week, ending speculation that where he would be going after New Japan, officially signing with AEW, and then that opened the door of how WWE missed the boat on Jay White. And the answer to that question is they missed the boat on Jay White because of communication issues, as according to reports, Triple H and William Regal were both very interested in Jay White, and they had some creative plans for him mapped out, but nobody communicated to Jay White, so Jay White thought there was no interest, according to reports. I would probably attribute that to the purchase of WWE to Endeavor and also WrestleMania. But that's where you delegate and you have somebody like William Regal managing the Jay White situation and managing the idea of signing a big-time free agent for the WWE, because if the vignette for the Switchblade would have popped up on the WrestleMania, the Raw After Mania, then I guarantee you the people that are saying the Raw After Mania is the worst Raw After Mania that WWE has done in a long time, that those people would not be saying that. But because they didn't do that, and because they chose to go the direction that they did, they have to deal with the circumstances. I mean, the consequences. I mean, I do hope that WWE may have signed Brian Cage, but, because even if Vince is in charge, somebody like Brian Cage, I think fits Vince's idea of what a superstar is, because Brian Cage is a beast. And I think everybody would love to see Brian Cage on a bigger scale do more and live up to his potential, but right now, I don't know if he's capable to live up to his potential in Ring of Honor. I don't know if he can capably live up to his potential in Ring of Honor. So if WWE doesn't sign Jay White, Brian Cage, and people may say, oh, Jay White's a bigger free agent. Yes, in terms of what he did in New Japan, Jay White is a bigger free agent. But in terms of knowledge of the American audience, I think there is more people that know who Brian Cage is in America than know who Jay White is. Because as I will continue to say until I'm blue in the face, and I've said on multiple occasions, just because somebody's a wrestling fan and watches AEW does not mean that they know who the people in New Japan are. And also doesn't mean that they should, because if they're a fan of AEW, that doesn't mean that they should be watching New Japan as well. That doesn't mean that you can be lazy and not spend the time introducing your audience to a new person and making sure that they know who they are and why they're important and why they matter. Because fact of the matter is, there are people, I guarantee you, there are people that don't know who the heck Jay White is and would not know him from a hole in the wall because they never saw they never saw a match in New Japan. And is he on the level of a Kenny Omega or a John Moxley? No. In 6 months of booking him and getting him up to a point where he is on that level, would it be easy to get him to that level? Yes, it should be easy to get him to that level. But do people know who Jay White is? No, not everyone does. It's just that simple. Not everyone knows Jay White. Because not everybody pays attention to wrestling just because it's wrestling. That's like WWE's philosophy of why doesn't everybody not know who, these NXT guys who are developmental, even though they have, it's like, we have them on the WWE network. That doesn't mean that people watch it on the WWE network. There are some people that don't even watch regular modern programming. People watch programming from the past and only old school programming. So they're not going to know who the modern stars are because they don't pay attention to it because they don't care for the modern stuff. But I do think that there are people who know who Jay White is, but also think that Brian Cage is a bigger star because he's more known in America. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. What's left? Apparently, according to reports, Christian Cage is also being discussed as somebody to potentially return to WWE because Edge and Christian want to do one more run as a tag team, have one more chance to be a tag team before Edge retires, or they both retire. The only question is, or the only thing that is unknown is, when Christian's contract in AEW expires, because WWE would be more than willing to work with Edge and make that happen. I, for one, would think that would be a missed opportunity and very unfortunate if that is something that can't happen or does not happen, and I would love to see that happen in the not-too-distant future before Edge retires. I would love to see that happen before Edge hangs it up again. With that being said, the last thing to talk about is, first, AEW Rampage tonight. We got a preview for Rampage and Battle of the Belts tonight. Not separate videos, one video for both. And also Battle Riot 5 on Saturday from MLW. And Sakura Genesis tomorrow as well from New Japan. So we got three previews in 2 days, and the Sakura Genesis and Battle Riot will go up tomorrow, and AEW Rampage obviously will go up today. But with that being said, there's one last thing to talk about, and that is the potential that Damage Control may have broken up. Honestly, I don't really understand why they brought them in together and had them as a stable if there was nothing that they wanted to, like there was no reason for them to be there. You know what I mean? What did they do in their run? It's unfortunate, it's disappointing, and they could have gotten more out of it. There was money left on the table with Damage Control, and if they did break up, there is money left on the table. It is unfortunate, it is disappointing, and I mean WWE should have they should have seen more. They should have seen more in the faction. That's all I gotta say. And it's a shame, but I hope that if they do break up, and this is what it takes for them to show more, to give us the potential that we should have seen from all three members of Damage Control since the three were brought together, then that's fine. I mean, that's the best, making the best of a bad situation. But I think either way, they're leaving money on the table, breaking up the stable quietly instead of the way they should have. But if this means that Bayley is going to be more of a featured star in the women's division, and same with Dakota and Io, then so be it. Either way, though, that's it for the news. We got the previews coming later today, and that is it for now, but I will see you in the next one.